This is the centre of London, Piccadilly Circus, and in the 1950s the very heart of show business. As you can see over here, we're just looking towards Shaftesbury Avenue, which is sadly at the moment closed due to that, well, very pesky virus. But it was here in the early 1950s that a girl came with a dream. She boarded a train from Blackpool Central and decided that she wanted to make it big in the world of show business. Her name was Norma Sykes. You know her better as Sabrina. So when Norma arrived in London in the early 1950s, she dreamt of making it big. But as she arrived at King's Cross, she managed to find a small room to live in and took jobs waitressing and actually making and selling her own jewellery. But it wasn't too long before a very famous photographer of the day snapped her up and decided to take some pictures. And those pictures ended up on all those magazines of the era like Blighty and Pictorial. And from that, someone got an idea. And that particular person was big-hearted Arthur Askey himself. Yes, Arthur decided he too could make Sabrina a star. So he set about changing her name from Norma Sykes to turning her into Sabrina. And the reason was he just finished behind me here at the Palace Theatre in London, where a brand new production of Sabrina Fair was coming in. He told Norma this would make a very good name. She quite liked the idea, simple, effective, and no second name. And so Sabrina was born. Now this is the Regent's Palace Hotel in the heart of Piccadilly Circus, and it was here where Arthur, Sabrina, and Arthur's producer from the BBC met and took afternoon tea, where they decided how they would brand Norma Sykes into Sabrina. She was very excited naturally, and it was on the 18th of February 1955 that Sabrina shimmied onto our screens and changed our and her life forever. There was a problem though, and it was nothing to do with Sabrina's beautiful face or indeed her figure. More to do with the fact that what could Sabrina do? Now according to big-hearted Arthur, she couldn't sing, she could barely move, she certainly couldn't dance, and she didn't quite get about the comedy foil routine yet. So the producer and Arthur decided that she would say nothing. She would become something more like the sex symbol of course, TV. Simply like Greta Garbo, she wanted to be alone. And all the jokes would be aimed at Sabrina's figure and a complete dumbness, which was of course something of a big market in the early 1950s. But Sabrina had other plans. And next she decided, after TV, why not become a movie star? After all, her own icon, Diana Dawes, who she truly liked and wanted to copy, had already become an amazing star thanks to the Rank Film Studios. Why couldn't Norma Sykes from Blackpool do the same? Well, here's the next part of the story. Now this is a very famous car park here in the heart of Soho in London, and it was here that inspired Sabrina to get into the movies big time. She was walking along and she saw Diana Dawes, her so-called rival, arriving on here to park her car in a very famous pink Cadillac, alongside of course her Svengali impresario husband Dennis Hamilton. So Sabrina decided that she too wanted to become a movie star. But her first starring role in a short movie called Stock Car wasn't really the big break she was hoping for. As ever, she looked absolutely beautiful and stunning, as you can see from this footage here. But when she went to the cinema, they too had decided that her voice really was too Lancastrian, and so have decided to dub it in. But to her dismay, they dubbed it in as a South London accent. So what should have been a spectacular night for her, and of course a thrilling experience, she was rather upset about. But what it did prove was she looked good on camera as well as she looked good on television too. So in the very heart of Soho, Sabrina decided her next move. And it's a little bit more like marketing today, because Sabrina knew the value of Sabrina. Round the corner here in Wardour Street, she put a name to her very own coffee shop and grill. It wasn't really her bar or her grill, but what she did do was very cleverly be seen there, and of course she had a down payment and a slice of the profits. But also she decided that branding Sabrina could be big business. And after appearing in Stock Car and on the stage of the Prince of Wales Theatre with none other than the brilliant comedian stroke entertainer Dickie Henderson in a Robert Nesbitt review, she really showed that she did have talent, appearing as Venus and Helen of Troy in some very cleverly crafted sketches. But Sabrina wanted more, so she decided, like all good reality stars of the day, that she would make a record. Not only that, she would go out on tour in variety. First stop, the Chiswick Empire. So what was Sabrina's act in variety? Well, she really didn't need one, she just looked sensational. But like all reality stars, they do have to have some talent. Sabrina got through with a few songs. A lot of people said her voice was whispery, not that strong. But actually, by the time the tour got to Manchester and the Opera House, there was a massive crowd waiting. She was also opening record stores. Along the way, she helped promote her record, Persuade Me. At one point, they had to bring in quite a few police to hold back the crowd, simply because she was appearing at regional theatres. You see, you didn't see glamour like that normally in the regions. A lot of stars, other than Diana Dors, really were quite sort of staid. Now you could say, of course, that it was a bit of a crowded market, and it was, particularly in America. You had Marilyn Monroe, Cherie North, Jane Mansfield, Kim Novak. Over here, we had Diana Dors and Sabrina. But the true difference between Diana and Sabrina was this. Diana was a very good actress as well as looking sensational, and very quickly she turned her career from being a sex symbol into a serious actress that everybody loved, plus the fact she had an earthy sense of humour, and not only that, a very good speaking voice too, something that Sabrina wanted to rectify herself, so she spent her salary from Before Your Very Eyes from the BBC on elocution lessons to iron out those flat vowels, as she was told. There was still TV also for Sabrina. She was a hostess on Double Your Money, and of course she popped up in other movies like St. Trinian's and Make Mine a Million, the BBC spoof with her old pal Arthur Askey. But things were slightly running dry, and she knew it simply because the era of the blonde bombshell really could be coming to an end towards the end of the 50s. But Sabrina was very clever. As I say, if she'd been around today, she probably would have been an influencer, an Instagram star, a Twitter babe, and of course all over YouTube. She knew exactly what she was selling. At the very start of her career, someone said to her, "What do you think your talents are?" And she said, "Look, I'm using my figure to get on. Where it takes me, no one truly knows." A very shrewd lady. As the 50s sort of came to an end, she'd made a lot of money, and she was still a name that could open any store, or indeed star in a bit of summer season, a bit of a tour, that sort of stuff. But she wanted more. She wanted to go to America and become either a serious actress or a serious movie star. But she really got a break thanks to Australia. They decided that they liked Sabrina and they took her serious as an actress. This was for the very first time, and the particular role really did make her in that particular country. In late 1958, Sabrina took her act, a cabaret act, to the Latin Quarter in the very heart of Manhattan. She was booked by a guy that really became famous for picking out talent. And the Latin Quarter was a venue that really everybody wanted to appear at. Now, interesting to note that if you're a fan of US TV, Barbara Walters, who I've been very lucky enough to work with on a few occasions, well, her father ran the Latin Quarter. And Barbara told me that she'd never forget Sabrina's first night, simply because she said she looked absolutely sensational. And let's not forget, this girl's still in her early 20s. She did incredibly well, managed to sell the place out even though she wasn't particularly that well known. But as I say, by the end of the 50s, the blonde bombshell look was starting to wane. And so Sabrina again decided to relocate and try and find new ways of creating, as they say today, a revenue stream. In 1964 really was the year that we last saw Sabrina as Sabrina on British television. It was on a rather sort of strange programme called Tempo, and naturally Sabrina had to appear looking rather sexy in a certain collection of clothes. But from 65 to 66, she appeared on the West Coast in Los Angeles in Rattle of a Simple Man. It's a two-hander play, and it really did prove that she'd come a long way and was finally being taken seriously as an actress. But Sabrina herself had become tired of being Sabrina and wanted to settle down. So she found a man that she liked, a Hollywood doctor, and they remained married for over 10 years. She lived the high life. In fact, they entertained incredibly well in Beverly Hills. She met all the star names that she could have dreamt of, like Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin, Sammy Davis Jr., and was really mixing. She didn't want to return to show business simply because she said, well, what could she do? She'd taken her career as far as she possibly could. Sabrina's last appearance on British television was in the early 70s when Arthur Askey was honoured with the This Is Your Life, which was hosted, of course, by the brilliant Eamon Andrews. She still looked stunning, very beautiful, and of course wasn't as, well upholstered as everybody remembered, but she could have still made a return to show business. But she hot-footed it back to LA, and that was really the last we saw of her, until reports said that she was living as a recluse, but she was still reasonably well off and being looked after. Her mother came to look after her while living in LA, but sadly after 5 years together she passed away. Sabrina, it said, well, she lived the final years as a recluse, but that's yet to be proven. What I do think is Sabrina gave a lot of people a lot of fun for so many years. I hope you've enjoyed our short film on Sabrina, the 1950s sex symbol who really did change the face and figure for a lot of people. Now, if you've enjoyed the short film, please don't forget to like and share and tell all your friends about it. Until next time, do join me again on another Nostalgic Fest. I'm Neil Sean. I'll see you very soon. Thanks so much for watching.